and welcome to this episode on social and political photography. The subject expert for this program is Mr. Kumar Barun, professional photographer with 7 years of experience in photography, and I am Sakshi Mandwal. The objectives are: number 1, to understand the need and usage of social photography. Number 2, to comprehend the new realms of social photography. Number 3, scope, advantages and work domain of social photography. Number 4, comprehending the method of capturing social photography. Number 5, introduction and meaning of political photography. Number 6, various types of usage of political photography. Introduction. Social photography is a medium that utilizes technology and social networking along with taking pictures. Technology is a large player in this relationship, as without it, we would not have the digital cameras, social media, photo sharing websites, or simple editing capabilities that define social photography today. Social photography today. Photographers around the world, both professional and amateur, have embraced social media and are now using various websites like Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook and Pinterest to spread their messages and share their personal experiences with their internet communities. Scope and advantages. With these channels, social photography has also expanded into the marketing sphere. People's favorite businesses are likely to have accounts on all relevant social media websites and are posting the same types of pictures as you and your friends in an effort to stay current. With new lines of good digital cameras available on the market today that have shooting, editing and sharing capabilities, the relationship between photography and social media is steadily getting closer. One no longer needs to be a professional to have his or her work showcased, as the internet has subtly blurred the line between amateur and professional. Anyone can post their images on domain name websites or their personal social media pages, which allow a greater number of people to record and document the human condition with a camera. For journalism as a whole, the relationship between social media and photography growing stronger is one of the most prevalent trends to look out for. The notion that a picture is worth 1,000 words has rung true for centuries. But with the rise of social photography, this remains especially valid. Over the past few years, there has been a large trend towards people expressing themselves with images rather than words. For example, if a social photographer is in a gloomy mood, he or she may post a picture of the rain outside his social media pages. Likewise, if something exciting is happening, he can post a picture of friends smiling and having a good time. For a generation of kids that are criticized for the inability to hold conversation because they are used to communicating through text messages and Facebook chats, it is only fitting that a significant amount of internet-based communication is now also done without using words. However, as social photography can bring traffic to websites or personal pages and the marketing industry fuels this trend from a different angle, the realm of social photography is expected to continue to grow in popularity well into the future.
Social photography is a very new branch of photography, and it's a very interesting branch of photography in the sense that photographers marries his skill of taking pictures and editing it with the social network medium. So the social photographer need to know the techniques of taking good pictures, editing them, using nice angle and light and everything, and also need to know how they would appear on a social networking site, which is a very crowded space, and it requires its own areas of specialization. Now, social networking sites are increasingly becoming photographic. There are specialized photo networking sites like which only talks about photo sites, and there are sites which have a heavy input of still photography like Facebook and other sites. Now the person who intend to practice a social networking photography or social photography as we call it in short form, requires to understand that he is putting his work in a very crowded space where lot of images would be available for the viewer, and the picture need to be little more attractive and need to have a quality which can arrest attention and should be able to, the viewer should be able to spot those in a site where a lot of pictures are being contributed by amateurs. The old photographic rule apply to this kind of photography which requires composition, good composition, good lighting. But the difference is that here we tend to highlight or tend to stylize or tend to underline our message which we want to say, and it should appear very in no uncertain term if you are doing it for a commercial ad, or if you are doing it for a political campaign, or using it for a very direct marketing in a direct marketing scenario. Social networking photography can be used for a person for his own expression, if he is feeling gloomy or happy, or or want to share some moments with the wider world. People can also take up it as a profession and help social media campaign to spread awareness, or to tilt opinion, or to bring certain problems in society and correct them. A good social networking photographer need to have a balance in term of technology and aesthetic both. He need to understand technology in term that he should be able to use camera, he should be able to use photo editing software, and also need to understand the context in which the picture is taken or the picture would be viewed. Usually in social networking photography, you require not one but a series of pictures where you keep the viewer engaged with your pictures. So you should have your own agenda or understanding of how the one photograph would lead to another photograph which you would be sharing after some time. So you need to look at the campaign as a series of images which would be released on hourly basis, on a daily basis. Unlike traditional photography where you create a work of art and it remains there in your album, or you put it in a gallery and people would come and view it. This is a medium which is where you need to understand that you are building an opinion. You are not just putting one opinion and you are happy with it. And for building an opinion, you require a series, and these series need to have certain kind of continuity where you are trying to convince the person and culminate into a point where you want to say something with these pictures.
Work domain. Social photographers provide photographic services for their local communities. The work can be a blend of social, advertising, commercial, and industrial photography. These photographers often work from a shop or studio in the local high street, or set up temporary studios in department stores or supermarkets. Some may work for local business and advertising agencies, producing images for brochures, posters, and other promotional material. They may also freelance for local newspaper. Qualities for social photographer. Successful social photographers must be adaptable and versatile. Their biggest competitor is the serious amateur photographer, so they must therefore be adept at marketing themselves and their abilities. These photographers must be well organized, practical, and creative. Good business skills, strong motivation, and self-confidence to promote themselves are essential to find work in an overcrowded profession. They must be able to master different techniques and to understand digital processes. They need creative visual skills to recognize the potential of a scene or subject and the technical ability to convert that visualization into a permanent form. Above all, social photographers must have excellent skills to deal with people. Weddings are often exercises in crowd control, and persuading an unwilling child to smile requires patience and fortitude. While practicing social photography, we need to understand the given work format or method. Framing and composition. It is all about subject placement within the frame. A photo where the subject is in the center of the image just isn't very interesting to look at and often invokes the amateur tag. The rule of thirds encourages us to divide the photograph in your mind into thirds and position the subject either in the left or right third of the image. First of all, imagine that the picture space is divided into thirds both horizontally and vertically. The photography rule of thirds tells us to align our subject with one of the points where those lines cross. That means our subject is 1/3 of the way into the picture space from either the top or bottom and from either the left or right. And that means it's not in the middle and it's generally accepted as good composition. Lighting. Next to composition, lighting is the single most important factor in a great shot. Great lighting isn't so much where one shoots. The photographer might not always get a bright sunny day or the warm glow of a fire. The idea is to know how much light one can capture in the image, and that, in part, can be achieved through white balance and ISO settings. Even the most basic of point and shoot cameras now have these features. Higher ISO settings allow the photographer to shoot more quickly and capture more wonderful light. So, if one is shooting indoors and it's dark but the photographer still wants a brightly lit shot, then one must try the highest setting. It may be up to ISO 3200. Settings often start at 50 and go up to 1600 or 3200. The other key is to match the white balance setting to your shooting environment. If it's indoors in fluorescent lights, one should choose that setting. Most cameras have an auto setting for white balance, which may not always get it right. Background and style. The choice of where photos are taken is as important as the composition and the lighting. If one works for a large brand organization, there's a good chance that he or she have some sort of brand toolkit or style book available. One needs to be thorough with the style book and should study it to get a sense of what the given organization's sense of style is and put that insight to use when the photographer is shooting candid and shots for social channels. Camera angles. Camera lenses of all kinds, even on smartphones, are usually made of some sort of domed or curved glass. Changing the orientation of the camera to the subject can alter the style of the shot and bring some creative elements to your photos. Try shooting from below or above your subject. A photographer can also try moving to the side and shooting them at an angle versus straight on. Not only will the subject appear more interesting, the background will too. Different types of lens. By using different type of lenses, we can create dramatic effects in pictures. The various lenses which are popularly used by photographers are wide-angle lenses, zoom lens, fixed lens, standard lens, specialized lens, fish-eye lens, telephoto lens, to name a few. Political photography. Politics and photography have always had a close, if uneasy, relationship. Scratch the surface of many of the great photojournalists and documentaries of the 20th century and you will find radical colors not far below. Louis Hine, a pioneer of documentary photography, said, "I wanted to show things that had to be corrected. I wanted to show things that had to be appreciated." For him and the generation that followed, the mere fact of showing photographs of a place or event which was largely unseen was a political act. In its very neutrality, the camera bore witness to a crucial axiom of the left, that ordinary people, not monarchs and politicians, made history. Changing face of political photography. It was when television happened that photography's power to show things as they are became larger than life. Media barons happened, anxious to turn the press away from challenging authority and into a tool for making money. Apathy happened. People's power was diluted by a cynical political system. And now the internet has happened. We can find an image of anything we like in seconds and are less willing to have someone else's propaganda pushed at us. Some have argued that photography is inherently a difficult medium in which to express progressive ideas. The camera preserves a moment that would otherwise have been forgotten. It's an instant nostalgia machine. It works very well for those seeking to conserve some aspect of the status quo. Those seeking to provoke change might find they can only use a camera to fictionalize or portray a negative. None of this has been enough to wipe out political photography. Although the ground and the work has shifted, nor does it really change the central question which a political photographer needs to be asking him or herself. Is this working? And if so, will it change things for the better? It is possible to identify at least 3 different ways of saying yes to this question. The humanistic tradition of photojournalism is still strong. People have suggested that the work of good political photographers have helped stop conflicts, and work from some photographers awakens viewers towards brutality. It may well be that this work raises the consciousness of the public and keep issues in the news. But critics argue that this sort of photography at best sweetens the pill of the dominant political system and at worst is open to misuse and manipulation. A separate strand of campaigning photography emerged with the flowering of the underground press in the 1960s. For these photographers, it becomes more important to control that was publishing the work and how it was being used. The work itself was noticeably different too. The gloomier side of photojournalism was replaced by more upbeats and perhaps less demeaning pictures. Photographers were pleased to be actively supporting progressive organizations like trade unions, pressure groups, and political parties with high-quality work. Photography is also an accessible and powerful tool for local and community campaigns. But the work sometimes seemed to have no bite, looking more like propaganda than reportage, and it rarely aspires to reach a mass audience, with readers numbering in hundreds of thousands, not millions. A third strand uses the political art photography for the strength of photography with a strong conceptual underpinning to try and shock or move people into changing their minds. Photographers want to communicate and then set out to make pictures, which will best express these ideas. The work of committed photographers and agencies is still seen even in the establishment broadsheets and supplements, and also in some less expected places, lifestyle magazines, television, public spaces, and educational material. The very recent renaissance of photography in the mainstream galleries is encouraging, and work with a political edge is often well attended and received. It's perhaps more difficult than it ever was. The various types of political photography topics are: Number 1. Staged political rallies. Rallies are designed to show the voters spontaneous excitement for a candidate. There's nothing wrong with that. But those homemade signs that you see waving in the air are often drawn by campaign workers themselves, not people at home. Sometimes the crowds are even made up of campaign workers and volunteers so that the TV cameras don't capture an empty room. They'll be dressed so they appear to be moms and dads, factory workers and teachers, but that can just be an illusion. Take note of the backdrop behind the candidate. Sometimes those people are carefully chosen so they appear in photos and in news coverage. If a candidate is doing poorly with young voters, expect to see college students and people in their 20s in the background. Race and gender are also considered when deciding who gets to sit or stand behind the candidate during a campaign speech. Number 2. Newsless news conferences. The surefire way for a candidate to get media coverage is to invite reporters to a news conference for an important announcement. That announcement could be the same tired 10-point economic plan that the candidate has announced twice a week for the past 6 months. It could be a major endorsement from a Sunday school teacher or a demand for the truth about why an opponent refuses to debate. You won't know until you get there, because a campaign doesn't want to admit that its big news is really no big deal for fear that you'll be a no-show. It's worth attending these news conferences so you can get access to the candidate. Take pictures you can use later for creating worthy news stories. Number 3. Exclusive one-on-one interviews. Nothing tempts reporters like a chance for an exclusive interview. A campaign will sometimes dangle these offers just before election day to guarantee news photo coverage. Campaign experts know an exclusive interview will be promoted heavily and be given more space in the newspaper, since that leads to free publicity. Don't accept any conditions for granting such valuable exposure. If you're told you only have 5 minutes with the candidate, shoot all possible photos or additional video to make your story the best it can be. Unless you're in a small city covering a presidential candidate, you should be able to win that battle. Number 4. TV commercials and print ads. Any candidate with enough money will spend some of his political publicity budget getting a photo shoot done for TV and print advertisements. Just like all other ads, the aim is to sell a product, not necessarily to tell the entire truth about the candidate or his campaign. That's no surprise, but it's rather important to understand about the rules that give a political campaign an advantage over the media. Especially with respect to political campaigning, many politicians or political candidates get their photo sessions done to send the best possible pose for publicity in newspapers and advertisements. Out-of-home advertising in form of billboards, hoardings and posters use a lot of political photography, especially for promoting and branding local, regional or national political parties from time to time. Number 5. Family photo spreads. At the height of a campaign, it's no coincidence that a magazine has a cover story that takes you inside the home of the candidate. You can see his wife baking cookies for charity in their newly remodeled kitchen and get her secret recipes. This spread can do more for a campaign than the candidate's position statement on fighting crime. Readers will feel as though they know the entire family, and that familiarity brings support at the ballot box. It's a delicate balance between getting a story that might boost sales and knowing that you're being used. Decide if a trade-off is worth it and whether to seek the same type of story from other candidates to demonstrate fairness. While you want to avoid ethical questions of photo manipulation, don't allow the campaign to have the final say in which images are published. And now it's time for a quick recap. While social photography covers the social issues, social networking sites, technology, dilemmas, and cultural flavor of the country, media, and its people, political photography helps in creating images of politicians for us to see and comprehend. Both the genres are exclusive and society oriented. Yet, social photography creates a sense of social belonging when political photography provides us a comprehension of our political environment. Using correct photographic techniques, lenses, and equipment accentuates the effects of both photographic techniques. A photographer with an eye for detail and a passion for capturing moments has a lot to contribute to both genres. That's all that we had for you today. We hope you found the session useful. Thank you and goodbye.